Welcome to the GSMC Pets Podcast, the show that caters to pet lovers of all kinds. We'll talk about pets on social media, pets doing amazing things, and how to take care of the pets in your life. Whether your pet is a dog, a cat, a llama, hamster, reptile, or something more exotic, you'll find educational and entertaining information on the GSMC Pets Podcast.
Hello, and thank you once again for tuning in to the GSMC Pets Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Alex Fletes. Now, on this podcast, I get nothing but joy getting to talk about animals and all the fascinating things they're able to do, and just how amazing creatures they can really be when taking the time to get to learn more about them, to get to spend time with them, and to really just get to understand animals on a deeper level. That is my goal here. In the past, I've talked about things such as how fascinating certain creatures are, from lizards and reptiles and some of their unique features to fantasy animals and just how amazing they are as creatures and the real-world inspirations they may have, or even talking about real creatures and how they almost seem to have fantastical abilities, because it's just that much fun to talk about them. But today I want to talk about something a little more real. I want to talk about the really real and important effects that having a pet can have on you, because we are the Pets Podcast and we want to talk about all the goods and bads about pets. Some of the things you should know, some of the things you don't know, and some of the things you might have been afraid to ask. Now, what's really important to note is that pets are honestly a huge responsibility and a big change into anyone's life, and it could be a huge change for better or for worse. But that's really up to you to decide and to really take some time. So one important thing about making a big change to your life is also doing some of the research involved. Now, I always talk up about how important it is to know about what's happening, to inform yourself on something, so that way you don't go into a situation blind, you understand what's happening, and you simply just do very well going in, so that way there's not too much of a gap between how prepared you are and a lot of things you just aren't expecting. But that's just, common knowledge. You don't buy a car straight off the lot or from anybody. You usually do some research. You discover if the sailor is credible, and if this car is right for you, it's a good mileage, etc. And that's sort of what's going on with pets. And you need to do one of the first big things that's really good for you is doing research to understand and to know what is right for you. Perhaps, do you know if you have any allergies? Have you ever had any allergies with animals? Have you ever had any adverse reactions to animals? It's important to note these kind of things now. I myself didn't know that I was actually allergic to cats. Thankfully, over time, that allergy has gone away a good bit, and my allergy has become just a mild irritant, barely even requiring any type of medication to rectify it. Some sniffles and occasional itchy eyes, but that's about it. And that's due to getting a little more exposure to cats and learning a bit more about them and how it can affect me. In the same instance, I also took time to learn about other animals, getting time to experience with reptiles, and of course also getting experience times with birds, and learn about their needs, learn about how they react to certain things. And it gave me a lot of time to really learn and to adjust, as well as gain information to know if I'm prepared or not. So honestly, one of the best things that a pet will even do for you is give you foreknowledge and better planning and resourcefulness on topics, which is definitely why if you are interested in a pet, they are great to help you get more organized. Because one thing pets do is that they start to operate on a schedule. So pets really do affect you very positively to help sort of get to a better place you want to be. And I'll talk more about how far they can take you and a lot of things they can do for you. But a lot of things you should probably know, such as certain animals, such as fish. You know how often you're supposed to change a fish's tank? Usually every couple weeks, maybe a month, but it might actually be maybe every other week as well if you want to keep the fish healthy. But you also have to know certain pH levels. You have to know what exactly they need water-wise, so what kind of water is bad for them. Do you filter the water? You have to know a lot of really important things for even something as simple as a fish, turtles included. You also need to know how to keep balanced diets as well. So having a pet really does change the dynamic and a lot of the things you have to weigh out. But this is a really good thing. Even low-maintenance animals will still require you to change how well you balance and schedule things. And also prepare for this as well. A lot of animals, even for people who decide to manage things like horses or bigger animals as such, need to know how much food they get and exactly what they get. You can't just feed a horse apples. You do have to feed it special certain nutrition, oats, grains, hay, and such. You have to be able to balance out their meals because they have a complex palate. Whereas certain animals like, dogs and cats don't always need that much of a change if you're feeding them the proper foods. And then, of course, you'll also need to start doing knowledge into what food brands are proper for that animal as well, because not all food brands are created equally for dogs or cats. Some actually have done a terrible job providing nutrition and even do the opposite and make animals incredibly sick. So you have to do a lot of research on this. As a person, as a human, we do a lot of the same things for ourselves. We look into restaurants that we like and we discover, they're selling chicken risotto. That sounds really, really good. And that's good because it also does cause you to have to understand more about the what's around at the area, what's around with some of these places. But then later on you discover, that place that sold chicken risotto has a really bad habit or has a really bad reputation for selling chicken risotto, but also it's been known that their steak also is severely undercooked and gets people sick. And you don't know how well they're going to do the risotto, or they had 5 salmonella cases last month. It's important to do that research to know how it'll affect you, so you have to do the exact same thing for your pet. So it causes you to have to learn more, have to learn research. Also, do you know how to get a proper heat lamp for a reptile? Do you know exactly how to handle a more nocturnal animal? It's a lot you have to adjust to. So if you're not ready for that, then you need to be ready. You need to get that knowledge in your head. Otherwise, you'll be dealing with essentially a wild animal that shouldn't be a wild animal. But you're adjusting big time to a lot of needs, and you weren't even prepared. So that's one of the really great things pets do for you, is they force you to learn and educate yourself on topics you don't understand and how to do more thorough research. And that's mainly why I really love them too, is that they sort of throw new challenges at you that you have to learn and grow and overcome from. But pets do that really well, and they also offer a lot of reward for it as well. So definitely keep that in mind as you continue on with pets. It's something that they will really change in your life and really give you something new to look at and a new perspective. So keep in mind, everyone knows a pet's a big responsibility. You have to feed it, you have to wash it, you have to clean up after it. Yes, but you also need to do a lot of research and understanding to make sure that they do well under your care. Because not only are you taking care of a pet for companionship, you're also taking care of a pet for a friend, you're taking care of a life, and you're also maybe learning how to better yourself as well. It's teaching you really good skills, and that's one of the big things that I'm always thankful for when it comes to learning about new animals and taking in a new pet. It's not everybody always gets used to this. Some people struggle with this as well, but it's definitely a good thing to keep noted while you get a new pet. But with that being said, it's time for a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about more amazing benefits that pets bring into your life. But definitely, if that's something that interests you, or if you can think of something amazing a pet has done for your life, please consider leaving a comment below. Please hold still, because we'll be right back.
You really can't underestimate the importance of having the right creative work for your brand or your product. Whether it's a logo, a website, a book cover, or an ad campaign, you really need a quality design to make that big difference pop and deliver your overall engagement and success in a competitive market. That's where Design Crowd comes in. Design Crowd has over 750,000 designers from Sydney to San Francisco ready to help you with awesome creative ideas. They make crowdsourcing work for you. So if you need a logo or you're working on your creative branding, you can go to designcrowd.com and post a brief describing the design you need. And then within about 2 to 7 days, you'll receive up to over 100 different designs from designers around the world. Then you pick the best design and approve payment to the designer. So you're only paying for the design that you want. It takes a lot of the guesswork out of freelancing and out of crowdsourcing. And you don't have to be a huge company like Harvard Business School to use Design Crowd, although they have used it as well. You can start a project on Design Crowd for as little as $99. And if you go right now to designcrowd.com/health and wellness or enter the promo code health and wellness on their website, then our health and wellness listeners will receive up to $150 off of your design project. That's designcrowd.com/health and wellness or entering that promo code health and wellness.
Are you tired of the same old news? Are you sick of the seemingly endless political spin and negativity? The GSMC America Still Beautiful podcast is a weekly news podcast covering all the top positive and uplifting news stories. We cover stories that will inspire, uplift, and remind you of the good in the world. Tune into the Golden State Media Concepts America Still Beautiful podcast to get all the great and positive news stories of today. Download the GSMC America Still Beautiful podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
Thank you guys so much for sticking around today. We are back. Today we've been talking about all the great things that pets do for you in your life. So previously I just talked about how pets add a level of organization and research into your life. They teach you how to research and understand topics and sort of delve into a lot of things that you might not know. Specifically about learning how to organize for food, learning how to take care and all the needs that a pet would need, and even learning about things like pets, diagnostics, and potential ailments. Some birds may get certain ailments, some snakes, and reptiles, and occasionally some dogs or cats get specific ailments that you would need to keep out for. And that's really important because it teaches you how to learn and research about things a little bit deeper so you know what to expect and how to properly deal with those situations, to learn for the signs and how to adjust properly. Now, what's another really important thing that animals might teach you are scheduling, organization, and then adapting. Now, it's important to learn how to adapt as well because on top of being able to have to learn and organize and apply these things, you have to learn how to adapt to the change as well. What used to be yours is now also belonging to this pet, and you need to learn how to adapt to this huge change because what was once a clean house might become a quickly dirty house if a large dog comes into your life and believes that the house is now his. You have to learn how to adapt to these changes and how to properly overcome them. And this is really important too, because a lot of people don't have the adaptability to learn. I myself didn't really understand adaptability for a while until I saw when I needed it, or whenever it really started to affect me. For example, when I was younger, I used to have to only take care of myself. However, whenever I got my first serious pet, I had to learn to adapt to his needs, and in response, it actually got me more active. It got me to learn more about the area I lived, and it especially got me to have to learn about proper care, and also learned things like how not to constantly expect the exact same thing, because one day you could have a nice, calm, relaxing day. The next day you could be on a wild goose chase, or learning or looking for something really important, or taking care of a serious problem because you just weren't expecting it. Adaptability is important to have as a pet owner. Whether it's your pet has to go on a new diet, or your pet needs to be more active, so you need to be more active, or your pet has a new allergy, and that's one of the most difficult things whenever your pet gets sick as well, because when your pet gets sick, you have to start learning how to adapt and specifically take care of your pet in different ways. And animals don't always take to medicine the same way that us people do. So that's a big form of adaptability you might have to change and get used to, is learning how to adapt to your animal's needs. And that's really important too, because if you can adapt to an animal's needs, you sort of can adapt to most things as well. A change in location, new work that you just weren't expecting. It's like, oh man, I remember whenever I used to take care of my dog like this. It was really chaotic at first, but I got used to it. I adapted to it, and I overcame the situation. And that's really important. On top of that, you also need to learn about adapting to new environments and new situations that may present with other people as well. One thing you have to learn, especially for people who have to use animals for, say, services, they have to learn how to adapt to life with a service animal, but also how other people will be reacting and adapting to them as well. So there is a lot to take in whenever it comes to animals, depending on what kind of work they do. And that's really an amazing thing when you stop to think about it. Animals can keep you on your toes. Animals can keep you learning about really important things in their life, to what to expect, what to look out for. It's really big whenever your pet does something you weren't expecting, and then you have to worry, oh geez, now I'm gonna have to finally do something about that thing. You didn't take the trash out enough, and now your pet keeps getting into the trash. Well, geez, now I need to do something about that. Well, now you find yourself taking out the trash more frequently and cleaning it up too, so your animal stays away from it more. Or maybe you have a cat or a bird. You have to learn that your cat is going to do certain things, may make weird noises, or your cat may be requiring a special way to be fed. You have to adapt to that. Your birds may make a loud chirping at certain times, but guess what? That might actually help you in the long run. It's all about being adaptable and flexible with these creatures, which will actually kind of coincide with my next topic, which I'm going to save for the next round because it's actually a big topic in itself. But with that being said, though, being adaptive, being flexible, even in life is important, and pets, especially at a young age, teach you about that, along with the responsibility of having a pet, but they also teach you how to expect things that are unexpected. They teach you how to deal with change, and especially when it comes to people around them as well. Animals don't always react kindly or react well to people or other animals, and that's a big thing you'll have to adjust to. So you have to learn how to sense their signs, and how to just be ready for that, how to be ready for a big change, because people are able to adapt very easily. They just don't always expect it. And that's a big deal. I myself included, I'm not always expected of change or unexpected things, but I have to learn how to adapt quickly to survive and do well. And that's something that animals, especially pets, can teach you very quickly. And that's really a huge thing when you stop to think about it as well. And that's why I always love people who have animals and pets. You learn about what they have to learn, and then you also have to learn about what kind of things they've had to adapt to. Is it things like turtles? Is it things like aquatic animals? Is it reptiles where they have to learn very, very special things and adapt to their schedules? Is it a nocturnal creature? Is it a typical old big dog who's big and fluffy and you have to learn to adapt to its change in diets or things like that? It's a lot to take in, but change and flexibility and adapting is always something amazing that pets leave us with. You know, I know whenever I had my first dog, I had to adjust to sort of getting him on a schedule of bathrooms and eating, because if he didn't, he would eat or drink too late, and then he would be in the house needing to go to the bathroom super late, and it was a little frustrating, but you learned pretty quickly how to see the signs and how to adjust to it, so that way these things wouldn't keep becoming a problem later on. It really does work on you, and it really does cause you to look at something a bit deeper whenever you have full responsibility over another creature. And that's why it's so amazing, and that's why pets do so much. And when you look back on it, it's like, wow, this creature has caused me to change and do more than I thought I ever would. And you sort of start to feel really happy about it, because it sort of adds more character to you. It sort of makes you realize about yourself, wow, I had to change a lot. And if I had to do it again, I think I would. I mean, I know for certain I would. I was talking hypothetically, but yeah, it's definitely a trip. And you sort of start to feel like a different person and think, wow, was I really like that when I was, before I had this animal? Huh. Was I really like that? And your animal might look at you and be like, I don't care. But it's funny because they've probably changed a lot too, and it sort of builds that up with you. And it's really important. It's really important when you can see those changes in yourself, because a creature comes into your life and sort of forces you to change. And that's kind of the beauty of it. Sometimes change can be really much needed. Speaking of change, it's about time we change from this nice segment to a quick word from our sponsor and our associates. So please, hold on tight, because we'll be right back.
You really can't underestimate the importance of having the right creative work for your brand or your product. Whether it's a logo, a website, a book cover, or an ad campaign, you really need a quality design to make that big difference pop and deliver your overall engagement and success in a competitive market. That's where Design Crowd comes in. Design Crowd has over 750,000 designers from Sydney to San Francisco, ready to help you with awesome creative ideas. They make crowdsourcing work for you. So if you need a logo or you're working on your creative branding, you can go to designcrowd.com and post a brief describing the design you need. And then within about 2 to 7 days, you'll receive up to over 100 different designs from designers around the world. Then you pick the best design and approve payment to the designer. So you're only paying for the design that you want. It takes a lot of the guesswork out of freelancing and out of crowdsourcing. And you don't have to be a huge company like Harvard Business School to use Design Crowd, although they have used it as well. You can start a project on Design Crowd for as little as $99. And if you go right now to designcrowd.com/health and wellness or enter the promo code health and wellness on their website, then our health and wellness listeners will receive up to $150 off of your design project. That's designcrowd.com/health and wellness or entering that promo code health and wellness.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
And we are back. Thanks so much for sticking around today. Today we have been talking about pets. Pets and the amazing things that they do for us, and some of the amazing things that really help us understand and get closer to pets as we spend our time with them. So today we've talked a little bit about how pets have forced us to adjust and how they force us to learn how to schedule and sort of delegate ourselves a bit better and more efficiently in our lives, such as learning how to research and learn more about something that we decide to commit to, especially when it comes to a life, such as a pet or someone new moving into our house. It forces us to sort of adjust to a lot of changes. Along with that, we've also had to learn how to adjust and research about how our animals may behave, what their needs are. It really causes us to sort of change and look deeper into our sort of knowledge and understanding of something we think we already know. But now we have to talk about something that's really important and definitely one of the most important and essential things for having a pet and a new companion in our home, and that is communication. Pets are really great for learning about communication, especially because pets and animals are definitely able to communicate very, very well with animals and with people if you know how. And sometimes communication has to be adjusted or learned for very specific circumstances. A great example is obviously if you want to talk about, say, a dog. A dog, you have to learn how to communicate properly with it. You have to learn commands. A lot of times whenever you get dogs, especially younger, they have to learn how to communicate, and you have to learn how to properly convey your intentions with them. Otherwise, they will be an uncontrollable animal that won't do what you say if asked. For a good example, I've had friends who've had a small dog, but it was a small pit bull, young, but very energetic and very strong, and this person adopted the dog right out of nowhere and had no training, decided not to learn anything about it, and this person had a very difficult time training it. Whereas myself, I learned a lot of the needs of the animal very quickly, and I knew how to properly convey my wants and desires with this animals, and it only took a few moments for me to be able to sort of handle this animal properly. Unfortunately, things didn't go well for that individual and their dog, and as a result, they had to give the animal away, and it was very sad, but from what I know, the animal's in a much better home now. But it's very important, especially if you want to be able to really enjoy your time with this animal. You have to learn how to communicate, and not all animals communicate the exact same way. You can't communicate with a cat the same way you would with a dog, and you can't communicate the same way with a dog or a cat that you would with a horse or a pig or a fish or a snake. They all need different levels of communication in different ways. A really good example of this is if you want to communicate with, say, a horse, you can't run up behind a horse and get it to do what you want. You will frighten that horse and it will kick you very hard. And also, you can't really yell at the horse. You have to learn how to nudge it where you want it to go. A horse probably won't react like a dog will. Same with cats. You can't yell at a cat. Usually you have to coax the cat towards you. And with lizards and snakes, especially in reptiles, they're very sensitive to touch and sounds. So if you are very aggressive or very loud with your approach, then they will probably consider you a threat and will hide from you because they know you equals loud sounds or a lot of vibrations. And that's a really important thing that pets teach us. On top of that, they teach us better communication with other people. They teach us that we need to learn how to communicate better, that we have to sometimes change our approach in how we communicate. Sometimes we need to be softer and gentler. Sometimes we need to be a little more upfront and abrasive with our communication, but we need to make sure our intentions are clear. Because if there's any confusion, then that individual might see us as a threat or might see us as some kind of danger, as we continue to communicate with them. That's really good. That's something that I'm really glad I've gotten to learn. In a lot of my experiences, I've learned how to really manage with other animals, and I've gotten to experience enough time with a lot of different ones to really know, yeah, you have to change your approach, and you really have to consider how well you communicate. Dogs respond very well to good communication, but you also need to make sure that you really explain that if something is bad, that they know it's bad and that it'll stop the bad behavior. Sometimes it might need a little tough love, and sometimes you might need to be just abrasive and straightforward. As long as you're respectful and you teach them that that's wrong, they'll usually pick it up very quickly. And some animals just need a little one time, oh, never doing that again. My friend's cat used to drink in the water of their pool, and they kept telling it to stop, and it only took one time, but the cat started drinking in the pool water, and the cat got a little too close and fell in, and then the cat does not drink in the pool water anymore. It learned its lesson very quickly that it should not do that. So you have to learn how to keep that communication. And the same thing goes with people, that sometimes people are very easy to accept communication, and sometimes it takes one negative experience from them to get the message. It's sometimes like that. And that's kind of the fun but unfortunate part about animals is that, and communication in general, is that it sometimes needs to be a lesson learned, and sometimes they need to be talked and guided through it. And animals can really teach you that lesson just over time. They'll learn, and then you learn, and you learn, and you teach for someone else to learn. Animals are a really great way to get this amazing skill. If you aren't talking to your animal, if you aren't spending time and trying to communicate with them, then you're doing something wrong. Yes, animals are definitely comforting creatures, and animals can do a lot for you to help you feel more calm, but at the same time, communication is one of the best things that pets and animals can really deliver to you as a just way to sort of better your life. Because they do it very well, and you don't even notice it. Some people might consider you weird or odd, or at least that's how you think people see you. But in reality, it's not that weird. It's not that weird to talk to your pet. It's not that weird to have an emotional attachment to them. But it's also not weird to sort of use them to help develop new skills. Because people will gain those skills regardless of how they experience them. Some people may experience communication skills through person-to-person communication, and some people may experience them through person-to-animal. But it helps them either way if they learn how to cultivate these skills. But it's really important to sort of take the time to learn about them and to really experience these unique things about them over time. And that's sort of the beauty of it either way. I've seen people who have had sort of almost like a immediate, almost psychic bond to some of their animals because of how well their communication has grown. And that's really, really good. On top of that, they also have people who can't communicate. There are people who can communicate almost so well with other animals they don't even know that those animals will almost completely change their attitude around this person, and it's really amazing how well people have developed those skills. And some people have those almost the same exact skills when it comes to other people. So don't ever think that having a pet is just some animal around the house. They are honestly a really great way to improve yourself as a person. if you really take the time to learn and to invest that time with them as well. But with that being said, it's time for another quick break. And when we come back, we are going to talk more about the amazing things animals can do for you and how they better your life. I hope you're enjoying today, and definitely leave a comment if you're enjoying what you're hearing today. And leave us a review as well. It always helps us. But until then, stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Is weird, odd, strange, or just plain bizarre is really your cup of tea? Then the Golden State Media Concepts Weird News Podcast will give you that fix. Can't believe it? Well, listen for yourself as we deliver the strangest news you definitely won't find on CNN or Fox. It's the Golden State Media Concepts Weird News Podcast.
And once again, we're back. Thank you guys so much for sticking around today. Today we've been talking about pets and what amazing things they do for you and how good they are for you. So we've been talking a lot about the benefits that they sort of help you with your quality of life, how pets can usually help you increase and sort of improve the way that you live your life, adding new challenges, adding new variety, new skills that you need to put in on your life so that way you can live better, and also so that way you can sort of grow as a person. Some of the things that they do, such as helping you learn about new communication skills, learning organization, how to properly assess for research, and how to properly sort of do research and be flexible for new challenges that come into your life. It's really, really amazing the things that pets can do for you in your life. But one really, really, really important thing that pets do for you is they actually can help increase your lifespan by a few years for multiple reasons. And it's actually been proven that pets actually, having a fun companion like a pet, like a dog or a cat, can actually do things such as lower stress, can actually help you with increasing your lifespan by a few years, and can also help with things like depression, can help with things such as even on occasion can also help a lot of times with people who have special needs, and also, again, help with communication. So, I mean, there are some pretty obvious ones in this topic that are pretty amazing. With a pet helping to increase your lifespan due to stress, some people aren't able to deal very well with stress. Imagine, you're just super stressed out. A lot of people might be stressed out at this moment, as of the recording of this, the current virus outbreak happening. So some people might be incredibly stressed out, and might wonder, what do I do next? What do I do? Stressing over everything. A pet can sometimes take away all that stress for even just a few moments, for a minute or two, and can change your outlook on things very quickly. On the same front, pets can also help with depression in a very similar regard. Some people need some type of contact. They need some type of distraction. They need some type of help. And there are animals that are not only good for giving a distraction, but they're also good at understanding things like panic attacks and depressive episodes, and can help sort of lower the impact of a depressive episode or a panic attack due to training and just due to experience, which is very impressive in itself because of how amazing this is. In fact, I actually do know a case of a service animal. I believe it was an emotional support animal. Its owner was very susceptible to panic attacks, and panic attacks aren't simply just a large outburst or a freak out. Sometimes someone can have a panic attack or can have some type of episode, and it'll cause them to shut down, to fall to the floor, and sometimes even be paralyzed. And I remember an instance of a large dog. It was a service dog, and in the midst of the owner having an episode, the dog would not only sniff, make sure that the owner was, well and healthy, but then it also would lay on top of the owner, and people thought that this dog was trying to play or do things, but in reality, the dog was actually doing what it was trained to do, because for some people that have panics, they have anxiety, and they need to be taken care of. Specifically when they sleep, some people actually will buy weighted blankets that sort of help keep them down and help them to calm down and sort of have an easier time sleeping or calming down in the midst of one of their attacks. And this dog was actually emulating that, and it was actually really amazing when you stopped and looked behind the research and the science behind it. And it was really impressive. And I'm like, wow, I didn't expect that sort of thing, that a dog would be trained that well enough to do that, which also sort of piggybacks into the next part of this, is that an animal can also save your life, hence adding more years onto your life, for people who have special needs, or for people who need special attention. Maybe, for example, the dog wears a vest, and that vest also carries that person's medicine. Or maybe that dog wears a vest, and that dog knows how to specifically react to their owner's needs. Whether it be if they are able to sense an oncoming attack, whether they're able to react and find the right person, whether they're carrying specific equipment for that person. That's some of the amazing things behind this person. Behind this sort of thing that animals do. And even if they aren't service animals, sometimes an animal can just do something as nice as protecting an owner, to watching over homes, to doing basic things that would give that would sort of add a layer of protection to individuals. And that's amazing. It's amazing how animals already have these protective instincts. Cats can be service animals for a multitude of reasons if trained well. Birds as well. I've seen service pigs. I've seen service horses. It's entirely possible that these creatures, I may be thinking and talking mainly about dogs, it's the most service animal experience I've had, but it still is amazing that some of these creatures can get that kind of experience and that training and can really make a difference in someone's life, if the case can be, or if they're well established to do so. It's really amazing. I always want to find out more about service animals and/or animals who have really good communication, to see what they're capable of. Speaking of communications and birds, it's amazing how, again, things like crows and birds can sort of imitate and can do things that are needed. They can speak. They're really smart creatures, and they actually might have a different level of intellect that can actually provide sort of a service if need be as well. It's very impressive what some of these creatures are capable of, and it never ceases to amaze me. It's just really amazing what animals are capable of doing, and how much they can really add to your life. They can save your life. They can sort of do so much for us, and it's really worth looking into. And it's something that I always want to take some time to shine some light on if given the chance. Animals are amazing. They're definitely useful, but they're also great companions. They do a lot more than you are probably ever aware, and right now, while you have the ability to, since you're home or if you're not working as much, in these trying times, definitely look into some of these things. There's videos everywhere. There's information for you everywhere. Definitely take some time to look into it, because animals always need loving homes, and it's better to adopt them. And you can sometimes even, maybe add a few years to your life just by having one of these little adorable friends near your house, just having them in your house and loving on you. It's just some of the fun, some of the great things you can do with animals. And sometimes, there are people out there who have the needs, and you should definitely learn about the needs that these animals can fill and how important they are, and also what are some of the things you can do to help those animals who are special needs helpers who can do a lot of important things, because there is also some on your end that you can do as well, and it's really important to learn. But with that being said, I think you guys know it's time for another quick break. But when we come back, we have a few more things to talk about regarding animals and the amazing things they can do for your life. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back.
The Golden State Media Concepts Travel Podcast, the show that gives you advice on everything travel. We explore places you've always wanted to go, as well as giving tips for traveling in those places. We'll give you advice on the best sites for travel tips, information, and discounts. Join us as we travel the world, explore cultures, and meet new people. The Golden State Media Concepts Travel Podcast has got you covered. Download the GSMC Travel Podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
Thank you so much for sticking around today. We're continuing our talk about amazing animals and the things that they can do for you and the amazing impacts they have on your life. So we've talked about a lot of things that animals are capable of doing. They're capable of helping you adjust and learn how to learn more about animals, how to learn how to do deeper research, how to be flexible, how to sort of change things that you do in your life so that way you don't have to worry about things taking you by surprise, but rather you can sort of just be a master of many things, a master of research and intelligence gathering. They also teach you how to communicate. They teach you about learning about the world, learning about how different people, how different beings communicate, and especially they can even save your life and increase your lifespan as well, and that's amazing. But one really, really big thing that animals can do for you, pets, lovely close companions, is that they offer you affection. They offer you much needed affection, endorphins, just sort of happiness and things that, you just kind of assume is a given when it comes to pets. Pets are honestly great when it comes to sort of getting that attention that you so rightfully deserve, so long as you give that attention back to them as well. Some animals give more attention than other animals. However, others are more likely to really make you work for that attention. But when they really warm up to you after a certain point, then they just go at it and give you so much attention, and it's amazing. So a prime example, dogs, they are immediate attention givers. They give you back love and attention in almost an instant. So long as you give them love and attention, you give them a treat, they love you forever, and it's great. On top of that, you also have, say, cats. Cats can give love and attention only if you're giving it to them. However, they also can be either loyal or on their own, and they sort of have a mutual understanding between people. But cats still do crave attention, and they also can give you comfort when the time is right. Sometimes you do have to work for it. Some animals give you unexpected attention in love if you know how, such as, let's talk about turtles and reptiles. They actually can give affection when they are aware that they are being well taken care of and that they have what they need. They can give back attention whenever they're given it. On the same token, turtles, they are sort of long-time companions. They don't give as much attention as, say, a dog or a cat, but they do sort of have an appreciation and an affection, and they sort of also kind of give sort of companionship and new experience and a new way to view things. Snakes can give some affection as well. They won't really react, make a noise, and give you certain attention, but they will sort of give you a lot of physical contact, and if they really like you, they'll climb around on you like a big tree, and that's honestly a lot of fun too. But then when you start thinking about creatures like, say, birds, horses, pigs, and even any other type of pet you can think of, these pets usually can give physical affection, but they also have a sort of different way of doing it. Birds, they have to feel very safe considering they're one of the smaller types of pets that you'll get. And probably one of the most delicate as well. They are used to being around and being free, so having a creature that's used to being free suddenly become caged and handled in ways that it's not used to can definitely affect how it'll view an individual. However, when they do love you, they will give you a lot of love and attention. They will probably sing you songs. They'll rub against you. They will do a lot of things to show that they care about you, and that's a lot of attention you get back whenever you spend a lot of time with these creatures. For creatures like pigs and horses, they do function similarly to dogs or cats. However, given their size and also their sort of physical demeanor, it's a little harder for them to give certain attentions. Pigs might give you a lot of hugs, cuddles and such, might make a lot of happy noises and such like that, but they also will probably be very affectionate, loving, they'll probably follow you, do a lot of things like that, and it's sort of really makes you feel great whenever you have a creature that you've had time to work to gain that affection with, to sort of start to see that gratification come back. In the same regard with horses, they can't give you all the same love, but they can also still accept you, feel comfortable around you, know that you're safe, and of course give you rides as well. Whereas I've seen some horses that don't do any of that. They don't allow people near them. It's more or less all based off of trust, especially if you're going to be a creature that rides on another creature. It's all about trust. And that's sort of one of the best things they can do too, is they can also help you get trust. They can help you understand it. They can help you sort of learn to open up and come out of your shell a bit more as well. And it's really a beautiful thing that when a creature opens up to you, they really start to show more of a personality, and when they open up, you might start to open up a bit more too. And some people need this way of opening up to deal with some things out in the world, to sort of change their perspective, to really experience things as you go along. Not everybody gets that experience, but for the people who do get that experience, it really is something unique. And animals are just so amazing that they can really change a person. They can really open up a person who may have been shut off. And a person can really learn new things about themselves as they grow with an animal companion, a pet, a friend, something. Because it's just that amazing what animals are capable of doing if you give them the chance and you open yourself up to them. It may be difficult to open up to a person, but animals are great, and they will help you open up. They will cause you to sort of look at things differently so long as you treat them well. They will usually treat you well back. And they will especially sort of give you that needed attention, that gratification that you may have been looking for a while, as a nice way to sort of give you those stepping stones to sort of open up and become a new you, which is honestly what anyone should hope for in a difficult world. And it's really amazing. I know that my pets definitely helped me do that, and has definitely helped me become a bigger, sort of more excitable person, and how to look at things a little bit differently just from spending time with them. And it's honestly one of the best experiences and the best feelings you can ever get in your life. And I honestly hope that you get to experience something like this as well with a pet. And the best way to get to experience this is to find a pet. Don't consider just trying to find the perfect breed of cat or dog or bird. Definitely consider adopting an animal. it only builds the relationship that much closer, and it only helps you to look at the world a little bit differently, because people tend to breed animals for the perfect animal, whereas there's no such thing as a perfect animal. The only perfect animal is the animal that you find that's great for you, that's a friend, that needs loves and gives love just as much as you do. And that's what's so big about some of these creatures, is that getting the chance to adopt one and give a new home and watching them open up helps you open up as well, and it's really amazing. So definitely consider, if you want to open up with a new animal, to consider adopting. Don't go buying new animals from a store if you can help it. But with that being said, it is time to go on another quick break, and when we come back, we're going to wrap all this up with my final topic and just send things off well. I hope you guys enjoy. Please stick around, and we'll be right back.
Want to find out what movies to go see? Then check out the GSMC Movie Podcast. It's your ticket to the latest movies, whether it's a new blockbuster event, romantic, comedy, or action flick. This show has got it all covered. They talk some what to go see now, don't bother, what's hot on Netflix, and everything in between. That's GSMCpodcast.com/movie-podcast. When it's all about the movies, it has to be this new show. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
And once again, thank you for sticking around. Today we are talking about amazing animals and the things they do to help us out, what you get from having a pet, and how they benefit your life. So we've talked about quite a lot today. We've talked about how animals really can benefit and change your life for the better, and honestly, it really is a pleasure to get to talk about something like this. I myself I've had several opportunities to get to work with animals, and when you really take the time to get to learn about them, they really do change your life, and they can do so much for you, just over a large course of time, and really change your life incredibly. And one of those big changes that a pet can bring into your life is, well, honestly, it's so much. It's quality of life. It's honestly helping you open up as a person. It's just health. It's honestly helping you just kind of grow with more compassion. It's helping you to really see the world differently and to become a more compassionate person, teaching you how to care about something other than yourself. It's important to always take care of yourself, but sometimes having to take care of a creature who can't quite take care of itself, or that needs you for something, is honestly a humbling experience that helps you to sort of become something more than yourself. And that's why it's so great when you get the chance to take care of an animal. They sort of change your perspective. They open your eyes a bit more, and then they sort of establish a relationship with you that you just didn't expect to exist. Sometimes they can change the way you feel about certain things. They can really change the way that you might perceive animals. My father did not like animals at all. He hated dogs due to a prior experience with them, and once we had our dog, his worldview changed. He likes dogs. He still has his opinions, but he's definitely much more open to them. And it's so different for him now. He definitely feels like a different person regarding animals. And I myself, I've had my own opinions on certain animals, certain creatures, and after time, I've definitely grown. In fact, animals have helped me open up to other people rather than just to animals. And it's through animals that I've made some of my best friends, that I've actually gotten to really experience my world in a different way, and it's really helped me grow. And that's sort of the beauty of them, is that a good pet, the time you take to build them, just like building a relationship with a person, or building a relationship, or even like, honing a skill, it takes that time that you hopefully are willing to put into it. Because when you put in the time into something so, careful and something so precious, it shows, and then it can affect you and change you. And that's one of the biggest things that an animal can do. They can change the way you view something, the way you view nature, the way you view a certain area, the way you view people, the way you view something that just sort of impacts you. An animal can really do that. Maybe a place you didn't want to go. Maybe you go there with your animal and you realize this was a nice place. Maybe you meet someone who has a similar animal to you, and that changed your view on that person. And maybe you just bond over you having a similar taste in animals, or something that can change the way you view things. And you can open up and you can say, if this person cares about this animal, then maybe they're not such a bad person. Maybe I can understand this person a little bit better. And that's honestly one of the best things an animal will ever do for you, is the understanding and compassion that they give you. You can spread that around, you can share that, and it opens up your world. A wise man once said, the world ends with you, and it's up to you to decide where your world ends and who you let in. But at the same time, the world begins with you, and it's up to you to decide how big you want your world to be. And so it's time to meet many people and to expand your horizons. And if you know where that quote's from, definitely leave a comment below. You are my new best friend. But animals sort of do just that. They open your world. They give you someone who can connect to you, and hopefully someone whose life you saved as well. Saving a life, giving them a new chance. I mean, if you were only given one chance and you messed it up, wouldn't you want that second chance? Wouldn't you want a bum hand that's been dealt to you? Wouldn't you want another chance to live better, and to just have a chance to get to have a happy life? Not anything too fancy, but just a happy life. That's sometimes all you can give to an animal, because that's all they might get the chance for. And an animal can open you up to those experiences and to that understanding way better, and sometimes way more effectively than any person could do. And I highly recommend it. You may wonder, how can I get on this? I've talked about animals for so long, but how can I really get time with them? Go adopt an animal. Go to your local animal shelter. I can guarantee you, there are dogs and cats all up in there, and sometimes there are other animals too. Go find an animal that needs a home. If you've listened to me this long, or any of my associates, and you've decided that you really want to get involved with animals, go adopt an animal. Maybe a nice dog, a cat, maybe a snake or a bunny rabbit, because yes, animal shelters do have those types of animals. Go adopt and give an animal a second chance. They may require a little extra love. They may require a little extra patience, but that's just something you need to learn and grow with that animal. But don't assume that the second you find an animal, they're going to be your best friend. Give them time to come along. And with all hopes, they will begin to grow with you, and they will begin to open up their world, and hopefully open up your world as well. And watching those small steps, those small crawls from being scared and confused to being curious to being your best friend are some of the best things you'll get to experience in your life. And as their world opens, your world will open a bit more too. Your compassion will grow, your understanding and knowledge will increase, and your love and your life expectancy will just get higher and higher as you spend more time with these creatures. It's honestly one of the best things you could ever experience in your life, that I really hope a lot of you take the time and really get to experience. It's something I enjoyed, and I hope to get to enjoy again one day. It's amazing what an animal will do for you in your life. if you have an open heart for them. And if you take the time and you have the patience to get to spend time with an animal, a dog, a cat, a bunny rabbit, a chicken, a bird, snake, any type of pet that you can imagine. If you take that time, hopefully you get to have an amazing experience. And if not, you still got to have some time with an amazing creature that hopefully had some positive impact in your life or someone else's life as well. Because that's just how awesome animals are, and they will always be really, really awesome. But with that being said, I want to thank you all to coming out today and listening to the GSMC Pets Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. If you like what you heard today, please consider subscribing and following this podcast and giving us a like. It helps us out a lot. And you know what really helps us out a lot? Giving us a comment and a review. Those things help us out way more than you would imagine, and we really love to hear from you guys. So please leave a comment below about a great experience you've had with an animal. On top of that, if you really want to follow us on social media, on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. I honestly want to thank you guys for coming out today, and this has been Alex Letez signing off. Have a great one, guys.
You've been listening to the GSMC Pets Podcast, part of the GSMC Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all of the shows from the GSMC Podcast Network. From movies to music, from sports to entertainment, from business news to weird news. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's podcast.